how a book can boost your business. And nearly everyone I meet has a story to tell. Recently, I spoke with a man who had just gone through a divorce, and he managed to transform his life and his business after the divorce. As this man shared his life story, I thought, you know, this should really be a book. And I think this fairly often, and maybe it's because I'm a writer, maybe it's because I'm a book coach and a reader, but I tend to think in books. So when I hear someone's story, I think they should write a book. And I'm willing to bet that those of you here or those of you watching on recording have a book idea inside of you. And if you're not sure if you have a book idea, if you're kind of thinking you have a book idea, I'm hoping that this class is going to teach you how your book can attract clients, build buzz for you and your work, and help you earn more income. So as a speaker, coach, or other type of solopreneur, it's sometimes hard to measure the benefits of your marketing. You tweet and you post, you network, you advertise, and you wait. What actions are going to give you the biggest results in terms of clients and cash? Which actions are going to bring you the longest term benefits for both you and your business? And most importantly, which actions are you willing to take? Let's see. I've been a reader and writer for most of my life, and I can truly say that every book I've written has benefited me in some way. So even those little books that I hand drew and wrote when I was a little kid did something for me. Even before I sold or I gave away a copy of any of my books, they helped me increase my self-discipline, learn about my topic, and gain insights about how I could help my clients. So writing a book can be very beneficial just for you, even if you decide not to go ahead and publish it and share it with other people. But I want to talk about why it might be helpful to write a book. Some people that say that a book is a new business card, but I think that a book, the benefits of a book are beyond just what a business card can do for you, because a business card can really, just tells people like your business name, your website, and your phone number. But once a book is out in the world, it can benefit your business in lots of ways. It can boost your credibility. And this is on your worksheet. We'll be going through these one by one as we go through the class. It can teach potential clients about you and your work. It can build trust with your audience. It can educate and inspire your audience or your readers. It can help you attract new clients. It can increase brand loyalty. It can build buzz for you and your business. It can access influential leaders or help you access influential leaders. It can help you capture media attention, and it can help you earn more money. So that's a big list. And I always say, wow, because it makes a book sound like a magic pill, and it really isn't. But a good book can have far-reaching benefits. So what we're going to do in this class is we're going to look at each benefit, and I'm going to give examples of how people like you have used their book to do each of these things, to increase credibility, to educate others, and to boost sales. For each benefit, I'm going to give you an example and one little exercise that you can do, or one little thing that you can think about. And I want you to know that wherever you are in this process, this is good for you. So if you're writing your book, this is going to help you think about how you can shape your book to really reach your clients or your readers. If you've already written a book, this is going to help you think about how you can use your book to promote your business or your speaking work or anything that you do to benefit you. So let's start by talking about boosting your credibility. Many years ago, almost 10 years ago, I posted an inquiry to help a writer out. So probably in 2009, this is my sticker from 2011. I was writing a book during National Novel Writing Month. And I was going to do National Novel Writing Month. And I wanted to find out what other people's experiences had been and what had worked for them and what hadn't worked for them. And I got a lot of really great information from lots of different people. And all of the people that wrote to me met my initial criteria, which is that they participated in National Novel Writing Month at least once, and that they'd been successful in what worked for them and what didn't work for them. But I noticed that I tended to connect with the published authors first. And the question really I had to think about is, well, why would I connect with published authors first? Well, I think because not only had they finished the month-long writing marathon, which is wonderful in and of itself, but they'd also had the discipline, knowledge, and drive to revise and publish their books. So those additional challenging steps meant that their credibility was increased with me. So even though they already had credibility by finishing the month, just the fact that they'd gotten their books published boosted their credibility. And I actually included some of their stories in my book about National Novel Writing Month, Write-a-thon. So, but a book doesn't have to be traditionally published to increase your credibility. An indie published book, or even a book that you write and publish on your website, will also increase your credibility because it shows you have the discipline to sit down and really work through a topic. You've mastered some knowledge around a topic and you're able to share it with others, hopefully in a way that they can understand. Here's an example. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to go back. I do want to say that my caveat to this is that writing a book can boost your credibility, but it can't create it. So if you don't have any education, expertise, or experience, then your book is going to reveal that. So for example, I'm not like a super cook. I love to bake, but I'm not a super cook. So I would never try to publish a cookbook because it would simply reveal my lack of knowledge. But I do have a lot of experience writing books. So writing a book about writing books can boost my credibility. Writing a book about cooking would just reveal my poor ability to cook. So here's a great example. And most people have a book that boosts their credibility already possess exceptional credentials. And this one, Dr. Christiane Northrup, is no exception. She was already a board-certified OBGYN physician before she wrote a single book, appeared on Oprah, or became an internationally recognized expert on women's health. But once she wrote her book, Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom, and believe me, the first, I wish I had it here to show you, the first cover of this book was abhorrent. It was just awful. It was just like a purple book with white type and her name down at the bottom. It was nothing that would stick out on the shelf, but it became a bestseller and it garnered her a lot of connections, including becoming, an expert that was frequently quoted by Oprah. And I think that the book not only highlighted Northrup's credibility, it also added credibility because she had all these people who were saying, look, she really knows what she says. Here's a physician who possessed a deep understanding of women's health and could articulate it in a way that readers and listeners could understand. So this is a great example. And so as you kind of think about your books, what I want you to do is figure out your unique brilliance, and then write a book that builds on the credibility you already have. So write a book that's going to shine a light on who you are and what you do best. So think about some combination of the following, because most people who write a book that really boosts their credibility have a book that reflects on their education. And that could be academic, professional, or specialized training. So it doesn't mean that you have to have a PhD. It could be something that you had to learn because of a child's illness. It could be something that you had to learn at work that was kind of continuing education. A second thing could be your experience. This could be professional, personal, or casual. So your anecdotal experience can be very good for writing a book. And the final thing is your expertise. And this would be a skill that you've developed through a combination of training and experience. So this is something usually that you're especially well known for. So think about what expertise, experience, or education that you already have that you can build into a book. So the second thing, or the second way that a book can boost your brand or your business, is to teach potential clients about you and your work. So think about the last few people you've met at a networking event or at a social event. You might be able to recall their names, or maybe you can recall their occupations. If you're lucky, you can recall both of them together. But do you remember much else about them? Do you know enough about them to recommend their work to others? Could you say to another person you meet, oh yeah, I met this person who does that. That would be the perfect person to help you with fill in the blank. Let me tell you a story. Many years ago, Thomas Leonard came through my hometown on kind of a big bus tour to promote Coach U. And to really get people to sign up and become students at the school that he founded, Coach U. And I was wowed by his ideas. I thought he was amazing. In about 20 minutes, he outlined his philosophy of coaching. He presented ways to help us use the principles in our daily lives and gave us permission to move forward fast. And by the end of the evening, I was like, yeah, sign me up. I'm ready to become a coach, but I wasn't ready to put my whatever it was, like $5,000 down and sign up as I left the room, like a lot of people who were there did. So a few weeks later, I bought a copy of his book, The Portable Coach. And so I read the book. I saw how he expanded on his ideas, talking about the research, experiences, and data that supported them. And reading this book convinced me that I wanted to become a coach, but it also convinced me that this was the person to help me. So this really helped keep his name in front of me and helped me think about becoming a coach, and really got me to sign up. Your book can keep your name and work in front of prospective clients. Perhaps a potential client runs across your book on a blog, or they see a copy of your book on your bookshelf. Even if they haven't read it yet, they might think about hiring you. So I have a couple of my older books up here. The Spiritual Leader's Guide to Self-Care was published, believe it or not, 16 years ago this fall. I was writing it around September 11th, 2001. My daughter had just been born. And then A Generous Presence was published in 2006. And believe it or not, both of these books have helped me to get work, both as a personal coach and a wellness coach, but also as a writing coach. People have seen these books and said, oh, I like what you've done. Can you help me do this with my book? And so having a great in-person presence, an attractive business card, a wonderful website, a rich social media platform, all of those things are really great. And they're going to teach potential clients about you and your work. But if you have a book, if you have something that tells your story and really shows your singular approach in depth, that's really going to help people know who you are and what you do. So think about what you might teach potential clients in a book and how it would help them. And I talk a little bit more about this later, but I really feel like, we can touch a number of lives with our work as coaches or speakers or whatever we do. But when we have a book, we can touch even more lives. And that's partly why book writing became so enchanting to me, because I felt like I could reach more people with it. So I'm going to talk about a third benefit, which is building trust with your audience. So, boy, this was a few years ago. I went to see Jenny Lawson. She appeared at a local bookstore for her book, Furiously Happy. And Furiously Happy is a memoir about her experience battling anxiety and depression since childhood. And it was interesting because I go to bookstore events at this bookstore a lot. This was a really different crowd. They weren't just there for the book. They were there to see this author. They were there to tell her their stories. So they laughed, they cried, they clapped. During the question and answer session, I saw people hold up the book. They cited passages from it. They told stories of their own experiences with anxiety and depression and other mental illness. And it was clear that through her book and her blog, Jenny Lawson had built a really deep trust with her audience, and they were willing to share their deep personal stories with her because of this trust that they developed. Very few of us are willing to share our stories with strangers, but books create a rare and special connection, so much so that people who read your book feel like they know you and that they can trust you. I saw the same thing when I went to see Jen Sincero at You Are a Badass at Making Money. So she came to talk about her book, and it was a little different feel because she's talking about how she kind of gave up her struggling poverty, kind of paycheck to paycheck life in order to make a better income. And people were the same way. They were really thankful to her for helping them move forward in their business. So what I want you to think about is how you've built trust with your clients and colleagues through your work relationships. So list everything that you can think of. And then record several stories about you, your work, or your connections with people that demonstrate this. And this will help you in two ways. First of all, you'll have stories that you may be able to tell in your book. But secondly, it'll help you access some of the tools and tips that you've used to help clients and colleagues and friends as you've worked on your business. So let me I've lost my pages. Okay, here we go. Okay, so, and the one thing I had forgot to mention is that I think when we start telling our stories and start thinking about the way we build trust with our audience, it's tempting to tell our stories, our best stories about ourselves, like how great we are. But I want you to remember that Jenny Lawson told stories about her weakness. And I think a lot of people opened up to her because she told stories about where she doesn't appear so great, where she's really struggling. And that's interesting because I think that's really hard to do. But I think it can be a powerful way to build trust with your audience. So the benefit 4 is to inspire your readers. People like a good story. They like to read how ordinary people have experienced hardship and succeeded despite all odds. So sharing your experience or sharing the experience of others through writing can really build credibility. So I wanted to tell you about Daniel Maurer. He's an award-winning freelance writer who has written multiple books. So his first book is this graphic novel, Sobriety, where he tells a story about how he overcame addiction. And Moore tells more transformational stories in his book, Endure, The Power of Spiritual Assets for Resilience, for Trauma and Stress. And these are not his stories. In Endure, he tells the stories of other people. So he gathers these stories of all sorts of people who have overcome difficulty. In publishing these books and other books like this, he has really inspired his readers to transform their own lives, which I think is like the best thing we can do as authors. So imagine hearing that someone took a risk, earned more money, or started exercising because of your book. So when you write a book that shares your story or the stories of what your clients or colleagues have done, you're going to inspire your readers, and you may even gain some clients because of it. So I don't think every story has to have this dramatic kind of rags to riches, element, but it does need to show some sort of transformation. So I think it's helpful to make a list of what you'd like to teach your readers, and then make a second list of how you'd like to inspire your readers or what you'd like to inspire them to do. I think it's really helpful to start thinking about how we want to change the lives of the people we're writing for. So the benefit 5 is to attract new clients. I think books can convert readers into clients, and I think they do it all the time. It's really helped me. And honestly, it's not been the super direct route where I publish a book and then 2 days later I get a client. Some of my books, like those books I showed you earlier, I wrote 10 years ago and I'm still getting clients from them. So here's an example, and it's kind of in the world of wacky books. Tim Ferriss was already a successful businessman when he published The 4-Hour Workweek. He'd escaped, kind of his previous life as a workaholic, logging in 14-hour days at a sports nutrition company. While traveling, he developed a system that allowed him to earn money in less time. And so he presents this idea in a book, The 4-Hour Workweek, which became a runaway bestseller. I mean, it hit every list, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and Business Week. The book helped Ferriss grow his career as an entrepreneurial blogger, speaker, and consultant. So suddenly, Ferriss and his 4-hour workweek was a topic in all sorts of places. So it was a topic in newspapers, blogs, networking events. But you don't have to be as successful as Tim Ferriss to help you attract new clients. So this is a colleague of mine, Susan Picorni, who wrote the book 2 Inches of Wool, which is a book on self-care. She's a yoga teacher and wellness coach, and she has used her book to collaborate with other businesses. She's given it away to potential clients. She's given it away to clients who enroll in her courses. She's given it away at special events and speaking engagements. And then her book is at all sorts of places like health food stores, chiropractor offices, wellness centers, and small gift shops, all places where she presents workshops on her work. And having the book has been a really important tool for her in following up with people and having people follow up with her. So it's really helped her gain new clients. And one thing that I was really impressed with Susan with is that she took her book and she put it in the places where her clients are. She put them in chiropractor offices, food stores, wellness centers, and gift shops where her people are going to be. So I want you to think, and so this is kind of a question that really has you thinking about your book market as well as your work market. So who are your ideal clients? Describe them in great detail. List the places that they hang out both online and offline. These are the places where you're going to get the people who are going to become your clients, but also where you're going to find your readers. And if you know anyone who fits the description of an ideal client, or who might be influential to the people your ideal client listens to, jot those names down too. So they're going to be the ideal clients that you're going to connect with to get your book. But then they're also going to be the people who influence those ideal clients, who you can also connect with because they can share ideas about your book. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But these are the people who are going to support you in getting your books into the hands of the people who need it most. So I'm going to talk about number 6, which is increase brand loyalty. Several years ago, I heard about this blog called Smitten Kitchen. It was started by Deb Perlman, and the blog just demonstrated how she cooked this amazing food in her tiny kitchen in New York City. Members of my book group made recipes from her site. So we were eating like her salted chocolate chunk cookies and her many layered chocolate cake. And it was just amazing. So I started reading the blog because of them. And then when the book came out, I bought the book. And after a few years of reading the book and following the blog, I've become kind of a loyal fan. And now when I teach blogging class, she's always one of the people I look to as someone who's a really, whose book and blog really reflect her brand. So you see how that worked. I kind of heard about the blog. People kind of shared some of her food with me. I found the book. It really made me a loyal follower of her brand. And so now I look for all of her books and that come out. I don't know if any of you remember this book. Tony Hsieh was the CEO of Zappos. And when Zappos was first on the market, it was kind of a revolutionary shoe company for people. They were very concerned about client happiness, and people just adored the way they could order shoes. They'd show up on their front door, and if they didn't fit, they could send them back again and get another pair in a day. His book really helped to increase brand loyalty. He helped to solidify Zappos as a fun brand that cared about client happiness. So I feel like a book can really help solidify your brand, or even establish you as a brand, or establish your company as a brand. So when you think about your book, and this is going to come into play really when it comes to your book cover, but you want to think about how you would define your brand. What words, emotions, colors, and visual images reflect your brand? How do you see your book increasing brand loyalty? How does your book really speak to your brand? So I'm going to talk about benefit 7, which is to build buzz for you and your business. So it's easy to see how companies can build buzz for their business. They have access to millions of people through snazzy advertising on television and online. So if someone says to you, just do it, you don't wonder, are they talking about exercise program? Are they talking about writing a book? Are they talking about losing weight? They're quoting Nike because this has been Nike's slogan for so long. This slogan and others like it have helped to build buzz for products we know and love or tolerate, whatever it is. But how can a book help to build buzz for our speaking or our small businesses? Well, here's a couple examples. After getting loads of attention for his book, Delivering Happiness, Tony Hsieh became a brand. And as he spoke more about the work he did at Zappos, people didn't want to learn just more about Zappos. They wanted to learn more about him. Same with Gretchen Rubin. When she tried positive psychology interventions and wrote about them in her book, The Happiness Project, which is really about her trying this stuff out with her family, people flocked to her and wanted to learn more about her life and her blog. So this book really boosted her as a brand, and she's almost now associated with happiness. So think about 25 places you could send your book to build buzz for your business. So these might be companies that could sell your book. These might be places that could review your book. These might be blogs that could talk about your book. It might be podcasts where you talk about your book. But just think about who are the people that are going to be interested in your book and able to build buzz, help you build buzz for your book. So I also want to talk about the benefit of accessing influential leaders. Most of the people I coach write books as an extension of their primary life purpose. They want to help people. Whether their topic is mindfulness, fashion, branding, self-care, taking care of children, starting an exercise routine, they're motivated by the desire to educate and serve. So when you know how your book can help others, you have a powerful gift to offer to people of influence. So Steve Blank, co-author with Bob Dorff of the Startup Owner's Manual, wrote that learning something new is the few reasons that he will take a meeting with someone he doesn't know. So that's what I mean, that if you have something to share with a leader, then you're offering a great gift to them. And that can be something that you can offer with your book. So when you want to connect with influential leaders, think first about how you or your book can help them. Not how they are going to help you by telling other people about your book, but how you can help them. Initiate the conversation with a gift of your book and a handwritten note, explaining why you're giving them the book and how you think that either you or your book can help them. At the end of your note, ask for an in-person meeting. If nothing happens, follow up in a week or two. Most likely, your book will pave the road for you connecting with this influential person. But if it doesn't lead to anything right now, give it time. Maybe they'll stick it on your book. And the next time you meet them, they'll be more welcoming of you. Maybe they'll put it on their shelf. And, you know, the next time they see the book, they'll think, oh, I don't like to connect with them. Or maybe they'll just toss your book into the outer office and someone in the outer office will grab it. And that will be an influential connection for you. So what I'd like you to do is list all the people who might be influencers, the people who can help you get your book in the hand of the right readers. So I want you to know that it's really tempting to list the rich and powerful people, or the people who have traditionally kind of high profile jobs. That's great. And those are people who definitely should be on your list. But you also want to think about the people who influence organizations, leaders, and other readers in kind of smaller ways. So anybody that you know that influences those people, whether they're bloggers or people who stock resource libraries, you know, people who are buying books for your town libraries or church libraries, those are people who are influential and can get your book into the hands of more readers. So along the lines of connecting with influencers, your book can help capture media attention. You know, think about the life of a journalist for a minute. They have to fill print space and airtime with relevant stories. The flourishing of print, video, and audio on demand online means there's infinitely more space for them to fill each day. So it's not just about getting someone for the morning show or the 6 o'clock news. It's about making sure they have stories online 24/7. So with a book, you can be the answer to a journalist's tight spot. And this is especially true for a book that's timely and controversial. So when Sheryl Sandberg released her book, Lean In, her ideas caused a lot of controversy. Sandberg, as well as her supporters and critics, appeared on talk shows and news programs debating workplace demands, why women opt out, and how women can lean in. The book launched a media debate about feminism and privilege, and the book became a bestseller. And so along with her book becoming a bestseller, a couple of others gained press too. So Tara Moore's book, Playing Big, Finding Your Voice, Your Mission, and Your Message became a bestseller, as well as Laura Vanderkam's book, I Know How She Does It. So they kind of piggybacked on the Lean In book. A couple of other examples, Susan Picorni, author of 2 Inches of Wool, The Simple Art of Self-Care, who I talked about a few minutes ago. This is an indie published book, and yet she managed to get a spot on our local television show, The Morning Blend. She also had opportunities to be on the radio and on various podcasts, and got many speaking engagements because of having a book. My friend Sarah Schwab, the content creation quote, self-published her book, Content That Dances, Choreograph Your Marketing Message, Creating Connections That Make a Difference. And once she did that, she was flooded for requests to be on the stage and for lots of speaking gigs. So think about, you know, even before you write your book, you can begin thinking about how your book can gain media attention. Put yourselves in the shoes of a television news reporter, the host of a local morning show, or a nationally recognized blogger. So from their point of view, consider what they might need or want from you. They're looking for stories to fill their news show. And if you've written a book that might fit a theme, like, oh, there's a marathon in town this weekend, I just happened to write a book about running, that might be your tie-in. Or if it's National Cookie Week and you've written a cookbook on how to bake the best cookies for a bake sale, that might be your in. So list 25 ways you or your book can be of service to the media. And think about community events, think about global events, think about national events, think about any kinds of special celebrations or any news items that you can flip to make yourself useful to them and their readers or their audience. So that's important to think about. So the last thing I want to talk about is earning more money. One more thing. Your book isn't going to be a hit for every media outlet, but it will be exactly what some media outlets need. So think about who those might be, and then just try, because it takes a lot of rejections to get that one acceptance. So your 10th benefit is to earn more money. Consultants, coaches, and solopreneurs make money in lots of ways. Some sell their services, some sell their time, some sell their expertise or products as consultants, or they have, like webinars or things like that. It makes sense that customers will pay more for a speaker or coach who's written a book. In addition, a book can bring additional income on its own or as part of a product launch. It can also help you get bigger speaking engagements. I've got this funky book, Engineering the Alpha Man, a real world guide to an unreal life. When John Romaniello and Adam Borstein released this book, they were already successful in their careers. They trained many high-profile content clients, including celebrities. They blogged on high-profile sites. Adam was an experienced writer and the brains behind building the website Livestrong into one of the biggest health sites online. But even with their enormous platforms, these two men built bigger platforms because of the book. So Romaniello increased his newsletter list from 51,000 to more than 65,000. Borstein doubled his newsletter list and added more than 6,000 Twitter followers, bringing his followers to over 103,000. But the real benefit of the book for these guys was how Romaniello changed his one-on-one training business into a company, Roman Fitness Systems. So instead of making money from each client training session, the additional media attention made it possible for him to expand his business, develop products so that people could buy his products rather than his time. So today, his fitness systems is a full-fledged business with more than 12 employees. So you might want to think now about the 10 or 15 ways your book can help you earn more money. Could you develop a coaching course or a program with it? Could it help you land bigger speaking gigs? Could you sell a truckload of books to an organization like the prison system or a denomination of churches or a school system? So moving forward, many of the benefits a book can bring your business. In addition, you've considered your specific book and your specific business. If you haven't written your book yet, you can tailor your book to reach your ideal customers. If you have written a book, you now know you can leverage it to boost your business. Or now you know how you can leverage it to boost your business. Originally, I was going to stop for questions now, but I'm going to just go on because we've got lots of time. And because this is recorded and so many people are going to watch this recording, I want to ask for questions at the end. So I just want to talk about some ways that you can use a book to attract clients. And rather than being like big kind of content things, these are just ways that just like little hints for how you can use your book in conjunction with your business. So one thing you can do is you can build your list with a free ebook. You can put it up on your site and ask people to sign up for your newsletter in exchange for a book. You can use your book as a giveaway for a webinar or a teleseminar. So you could have people pay to come to a teleseminar or a webinar. You could do it free like this one, and you could give a book as part of it. You could use a book as a bonus gift when you speak, or you could also work it into your price. I think it's great. I mean, however you do it, whether they pay a little bit extra and each person who comes to your speech gives a book, or you just gift them and eat the costs. Having a book go home with everybody you've spoken to can be very helpful, because then people aren't taking just your speech with you, they're kind of taking you with them. And that's going to work out in your favor, because you're going to get some follow-up business because of that. I think a book is a great thing to give to new clients, especially if it teaches clients a little bit about who you are and how you work. And it certainly is something that's going to help people know how to work with you. So a lot of my books use some of the resources or tools that I use with clients. And so to be able to just say, well, go to page whatever and work on this, that's really invaluable. You can use it for a class or program. A book can be a great kind of basis for a coaching class or a coaching program. And it's really kind of a nice manual. It can also do some of the things that you don't want to do in your class. So if you don't want to go over some basic things in your class, your book can do that heavy lifting for you. A book can also be a bonus for a home study program or a coaching program. So if you see, and I'm not a big fan of those kind of sleazy, salesy things that's like, you're going to get this and you get all these like a gazillion bonuses. Well, if you want to offer a bonus, a book is a really nice bonus. An audio class can be a nice bonus too. But a book can be a nice little bonus. I think a book is a great thing to fill a conference packet or a celebrity gift bag. A friend of mine got her book into the TV like Emmys. So I thought that was super cool. So everybody who went to the daytime Emmys, I think, got a copy of her book. I've gone to many coaching conferences, many writing conferences where I've gotten someone's book as a freebie. And believe me, that really makes a difference in how I connect with that person later. I often forget the speakers, but if your book is in my conference packet or in my gift bag, I may take a second look at you or your website. A book can be a great thing at a trade show display. Some people give them away. It depends on how much money you spend on your book. I just usually have mine there for people to see, but it adds credibility to who you are and what you do. A book is a great raffle prize. I usually give away a copy of my book, a journal, some pens, and a coaching session to any organization who asks for it. If I believe in them and I support what they're doing, if they're having their annual fashion show or whatever their fundraiser is, putting together a basket like that doesn't cost me much money. It does good for my brand in the community because it does good for an organization. It helps kids or it helps with education or whatever it does. And then, once in a while I meet someone who becomes a great client, or my book gets passed on to someone who becomes a great client or becomes a fan of my website. So a raffle price can be a really helpful thing. And then a final thing that you can do with your book is just get it out there for book reviews or blog articles. I'm surprised how many people really focus on getting their book reviewed by big places and forget about all the blogs that would be interested in reviewing your book. So think about the smaller venues because that's where you're going to connect with most of your readers. So what I would do, you've got the handout, take some time to star the ones that might work for you in your business. And then brainstorm more ways. I mean, I've done lots of things with my book and I've worked with my clients in doing lots of things. Leave your book in a free little library. That can be a great thing to do. Send it to the top influencers in your field. Or just, some in one of the books I read, someone just took their book and put it on the bookshelves of local bookstores without even letting the bookstore know. And I don't know what happens when they bring that book up, like what that does with their books, but it's kind of a fun thing to do. So I want to just say a little bit about my class that's coming up for those of you who are tuning in for the recording, and then I will stop and answer questions. So if you want to use a book to boost your business, you need a book. You might already have the content you need to create a book. So I talked about this in another class that I taught called Leverage Your Content. So if you've got a presentation, an essay, an article, a video, a series of blog posts, meditations, devotions that you've written, sermons, speeches, all of these can be combined or repurposed into a book. So the first step is to really review the content that you have. So to look at the content you've amassed over the years of working, speaking, teaching, and then identify the themes that might make it into your book. So identify the themes that you speak about a lot or the themes that you write about a lot. Create a record of the content you have. And I really encourage people to, at this point, it's really good, especially if you have a lot of content, to ask someone to do this for you. So to hire a college student, pay them a living wage, and then have them create a spreadsheet of everything you have. That was really helpful for me. And when I say get help, I mean, hire someone to help you, but you could also come to my class, write a book, write-a-thon, write your book quickly and easily. So I will help you select content that's going to resonate with your market, discover the book structures that are going to allow your content to shine. So to me, that's one of the most important things, is having a book structure that people will be able to read and really relate to. Revise and update the existing content you have to make it extraordinarily valuable for your readers. So especially if you're repurposing content, you want to make your book content to be especially helpful to your readers, so they don't go, oh, I read that on their blog. How does this help me? And then edit your writing to make it both readable and quotable, because if your writing is going to get read by readers and then quoted in blogs, it has to be good. So this class is designed to really help you make your writing readable and quotable. And finally, choose a publishing solution that's best for you. So this is the class, and I've designed it to be a little more hand-holding than I usually do. I tend to be just here's the information, go for it. But I really want to take you through the process step by step so you don't feel frustrated. I'll put this up on YouTube, and I'm going to put the links in the comments below so that you have a way to access the information.